Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from today. Welcome to today's Powerboost. So our topic today is from victim to victory. From victim to victory. So we have the power to draw onto ourselves that which we desire. And what I want us to focus on today is how we can take responsibility for our experiences, because this is not something that we are aware of enough such that we not only take responsibility for it, but also begin to actively use that power to draw onto ourselves instead of what we feel victimized by, or what we would be considered to be negative, to actually use that power to change it to positive. And as I remind you from time to time, we become what we meditate on. And so even if you weren't aware of it before, a lot of your habits and the things that inform your actions is a function of the thoughts that you've been having that continue to occur, that become those that you frequently find yourself realizing. So meditation is not just sitting up straight and meditating. It's where you're focused. And our efforts in these sessions, even if you don't use the very session to focus and change that focus, we at least want you to have the understanding of how you might do that constantly beyond the 10 or 15 minutes that you might be tuning in with us today. And so, in terms of what we mean by victim, if you are more often than you would like to find yourself on the receiving end of being cheated and people being dishonest with you, and that's occurring a lot. Well, what we're saying is that there's something in your attitude that you can change so that you no longer attract that kind of situation or person or environment where you feel that way. And so you can be very proactive with what is occurring wherever you are. And so if that's one of the things that you find happening to you. It is not just happening. It's something that you are making happen and that can be unmade. And so one change that you can make that would have that situation be more favorable and actually the complete opposite than what you're experiencing is when you begin to, in your own actions, be more considerate. And so if you keep that in your awareness that you are taking care to be considerate with others and the situations that you face with in your life, not just today, but from today, you will find that instead of attracting what puts you at the receiving end of dishonesty, will begin to change because you will, by the actions and the change in your own consciousness, bring about the change in that space. The same thing we can think of if you are at the receiving end of a lot of anger and abruptness and people being short-tempered with you. Well, one change that you can make that would turn that around is for you to have a friendly attitude. And if you work on having all of your interactions be friendly, that's what you'll start to receive in return. And so you can turn that situation around by taking responsibility for it. Because remember, what is occurring is your own creation, whether you know it or not. And so by taking responsibility for it and being proactive, you will find that that attitudinal change will bring about the kind of victory that I'm talking about. Then you will find yourself less victimized. Many of us have relationship issues. Issues meaning that relationships never seem to work out. And you are always fearful that this is what might happen in any particular relationship, whether it's very personal or not. And so one way you can be proactive about that is to begin to be more selfless, putting others first. And that selflessness will garner towards you a whole different kind of vibration that will allow for you to have in your relations those interactions that don't have you begin to feel that this is not going to work well or that there's something wrong with you or anything like that. Some of us as well find that we're dealing with an unusual amount of sickness. You know, I've known people who have said, well, whatever is going around, I catch it. So if you're one of those, then there is a stance that you can take that will alter that as well. And one way to do that is to become very generous, to be very generous with your time, be very generous with your compliments to others, be very generous and helpful, especially when you are not asked. And so that generosity, that helpfulness will attract, well, they'll attract blessings. And it is those blessings that will be not only healing, but will be preventative. And so as we go through this short list today, just understand that the empowerment that we are talking about is for you to, first of all, understand that everything you're experiencing is your own creation, which means you have the power to make the change that will have you begin to experience and draw to yourself. Remember, we have this power to attract everything that we are experiencing. And so today's meditation is to alert you to that, and so that you begin to practice that. One more victim kind of experience that people have is loneliness. So a lot of loneliness, feelings of loneliness in our world. And you wonder how, with millions of people everywhere, all around you, that you're still experiencing being lonely. And so one way that changes that is, of course, you're becoming a caretaker. And I don't mean necessarily that you have to visit nursing homes and take care of the elderly or anything like that, even though that wouldn't be something that is not going to be very, very helpful. But you'll find that people who surround themselves with plants are never lonely. And so one way you can begin to change that feeling that has you isolated is to become a nature lover, but especially since most of your time is going to be indoors, I would add some plants. Have some plants in your life and nurture them and take care of them. And you will be amazed. They'll become your friends. They'll become better than your family. And you will have a very intimate relationship with them. And again, what we're doing is having the responsibility for how we feel and what and how we do things under our control. Under our control. It's part of that self-sovereignty that we have constantly talked about. And so that's our message today. That's our meditation today. That's our focus today. And whichever one of those categories you find yourself in, one or two or all, doesn't matter. Or even if it's one that hasn't been mentioned, just understand that you can begin to change what you are attracting that has you being victim and become victorious. And of course, happy and content. Om Shanti.